Hello and welcome. I'm Sandra Pollock, leadership management and business coach. And today I am coming to you with another question. So this is the question, and you can help answer it as well. So today's question is your workplace toxic? Or if you are the person running a business, whether it's small or a big one, are you creating a toxic work environment? And how would you know? That's the series of questions we're looking at today. What are your thoughts on that? Do let me know in the comments area below. Now, we know that the profitability and success of businesses is highly reliant on the people, on the experience of the people, the quality of the people we employ. I must admit that people are my favorite part of business. Maybe it's because people are the one variable within a business that is ever changing, a little out of our control. I like the challenge of working with people. It just brings out ideas and creativity, both in me and the people that I work with. I absolutely love it. Now, I am aware that some of you managers and leaders listening to this may not necessarily see things the same, but that is the way it is for me. Now, the Great Resignation has been a phrase that's popped up in headlines across magazines and newspapers, social media streams, particularly during the latter half of 2021. And it still is, something we are discussing now, this big resignation. What does it mean? Well, according to research statistics, Americans, for example, quit their jobs in record numbers during the latter half of 2021, around 3.9 million to date, as I checked stats before I came on to this. And here in the UK, where I live, almost 1 in 4 employees were recorded to be seriously contemplating leaving or changing jobs if they haven't already done so. So this large number of people quitting or changing their jobs has been brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. So many of us know or have been directly impacted or experienced the loss of a loved one or a friend due to COVID during this time. And no matter who we are, when such life impacting changes happen, it's bound to affect us all seriously and differently. COVID-19 has allowed, workers to rethink their careers, their working conditions, and their long-term goals. During the lockdown periods of the pandemic, businesses who once refused to allow flexible working hours for their staff or failed to consider that people can work just as effectively outside of the working place or in their homes, these businesses were forced to consider these options if they were going to continue to be successful and if their businesses were going to exist. Those were some of the serious decisions that were being made and had to be made during those difficult times. So although we are fingers and toes crossed coming out of the huge lockdown conditions we were in, business leaders still have to, I guess, face the fact that the workplace or the working environment has changed. It's much different to what it was before, and it's a lot more expanded environment. And the flexibility that the previous or the lockdown situations shared and brought to employees and workers has meant for some people, and for clearly lots of people, that they've seen more recognition and more important to improving their quality of life and, what they experience and what they see. So for many many employees, they've realized such things as, you know, there is more to life than work. Have you heard that phrase? I've certainly, and I've probably said it lots of times myself. And that there are actually different options available to them that they can, if they manage it well and differently, they can actually have their cake and eat it. They can find work that they enjoy, as well as allowing themselves to have more time to spend with their family or to take up hobbies or other activities that bring them greater levels of satisfaction and well being. Some people have, as a result of either having been made redundant, either them or their partners, or having their the number of hours they work to reduce, or for whatever reason, they've realized that they can survive on a smaller amount of income and still have a higher quality of life. And we go back to that issue of well-being. So, having said that, let me look back at my original question. Is your workplace toxic? In this new age of rethinking the workplace, toxicity, just say that word properly, toxicity is huge for more and more employees. On the one hand, you have managers who are feeling the pressure of getting the business back to what they deem as high efficiency. And then on the other hand, you have workers who are less prepared to put up with the way things were, and less prepared to accept some of the conditions that they experienced before and were unhappy about. So people are leaving for lots of different reasons. That toxic environment. If we were to list what makes an environment toxic, it could be a very long list, but let's look at some of the obvious ones, which I know will not be a surprise to you, but it's always important that we remind ourselves so that we, as business leaders and managers, really pay attention to the environment that we are creating as leaders. So people leave because they're burnt out. They've experienced damaged or eroded self-confidence or self-esteem, self-belief. There's poor communication in the work environment. They experience unfair and or unequal treatment. There's bad behavior, either from colleagues or managers leading them. They may feel excluded. They may feel a sense of diminished well-being in the workplace. And there could be many other reasons as well. I'm sure you can add a few to that list yourself. But in truth, the reasons why people leave the working environment will vary from person to person. But we can, as we look at creating an environment which promotes well-being, and also in promoting well-being, it promotes high achievement. As we look at that, we honestly, as I've mentioned before, need to pay attention. We need to listen. We need to create opportunities where people can actually speak up. So those reasons, as I say, may vary from person to person. But there are some questions, as we're looking at what's really going on in our environment, as we're looking at that, we can have a list of questions that we are asking both ourselves, our colleagues, managers around us, other people around us, so that we begin to gather a real, honest, true perspective of what our working environment is like. So, is your working environment a healthy one? That's a really, simple question to ask people. And how would you know? What do people identify as things that would make a healthy working environment for them? And I'm not saying we can please all the people all the time, but we can certainly get a really good idea of some of the main things that we could do and should be doing. So is your working environment a healthy one? And how would you know? So, sometimes we forget the purpose of the workplace, and we just, if someone say, what's the purpose of the workplace? We might just say to make a profit. And that is true. But there are other foundational things that need to be in place in order for that to happen. So the workplace, wherever that might be nowadays, should be an environment that enables employees to achieve their best, to achieve their jobs, to make the environment positive. So it's a two-part thing, as I always say, and to make advancement for the organization they work for. And in doing so, additionally, to make improvements in their own development, their own personal development, and their own career development. So that really should be the whole ethos of creating a working environment, so that the business benefits, but also the individual benefits as they carry out the responsibilities of their job for that business. So to measure then the toxicity of any working environment, I think managers, this is something managers should do on a 6 monthly, at the least a 6 monthly basis. I know organizations that don't do it at all, or I know organizations that maybe do it every 5 or 6 years. I think nowadays, if we're going to keep the best employees, then we need to pay more attention. So here are some of the things that I would encourage you to consider when you're measuring your working environment for toxicity. So, is your working space like this? Is it healthy for mental, physical, and emotional positive stimulus and development opportunities? Can you find those things there in abundance? Is the individual, team, or department and the organizational's goals clear, realistic, time framed, and achievable? Is everybody clear about what they're expected to do, both as an individual, as a team, as a department, and in relation to where the organization is going? So does everybody feel valued as an individual and in relation to their contribution within the team, within the department, within the organization? Do employees feel heard? Are they, in their own experience, feeling or experiencing a sense of being listened to and being acknowledged? Are their ideas encouraged? So, one of the things that I struggled years ago when I was employed in large corporates was that, my good ideas would be taken by somebody else, and I would never get the recognition of coming up with that idea. So is the originator of good and successful ideas, suggestions, creativity, and innovation receiving directly the recognition for that good result? Is your working environment a safe place or safe space to express our views openly and have them discussed? How's conflict dealt with? Is conflict acknowledged and resolved fairly? Or is it ignored and just left to fester? Is it avoided? Or, is it that conflict raised by certain people is dealt with, but certain other people, everybody ignores that bad behavior or conflict stirring or attitude, and those things aren't dealt with? That will have an impact on the people around. Is there transparency and openness? Does this exist across all management and team levels? Now, we know at senior levels and at some management levels, you can't share absolutely everything with your team or with individuals, but you can be honest about that. You can be honest about what you can share, and you can be honest about what you're not in a position to share at the moment. So, what's transparency and openness like? And, the final thing on my list, it's not the final on any list, I can reassure you. So is there one rule for one group of people and another rule for another? Is there one rule for the majority and another rule for the few. Again, things like this impact on morale, on how comfortable people feel, how much they give to your business or your organization. And all of these things are easy to change. Yes, they may take a little time. And if historically they haven't existed, well or at all, then yes, they may well take some time to change and to get people to trust that this is for real. But in truth, we can change these things. It's amazing. Coincidentally, as I was sitting writing this article, my husband came home from work and he showed me a little card that read, "You have been recognized by your peers and your management team for your can do attitude. Thank you for your hard work and continued support." And it was signed by his manager, Darren. Along with the card, he was given a bottle of wine and a £30 voucher to go out and spend on whatever he wants to. So, he's only been working with that company for about 7 months, but needless to say, he feels very happy at having got that recognition. Now, what I like about that recognition, it's about his attitude. It's not only about specific things he's done, but it's about the way that he's done those, the way he's just done his business, done his day to day, his attitude, how he helps and supports other people. And no doubt he'll want to continue working there because it has made him feel so good. So, we may think that all of the time we have to have a huge amount of money to increase people's salary and all of those sorts of things. But that's not the only thing working is about. And this mass exodus from the workplace or changing roles has that's come true and realization for lots of people. And so it should come to be a true realization for managers and leaders, us who lead and direct people. People will stay where they are happy and with a job that makes them feel valued and appreciated. With the marketplace, both in America, Europe, and here in the UK, looking particularly buoyant for job seekers, it's easy to see that losing our best staff is currently a high possibility. And remember, it's not always about money. That's something you would have heard me say time and time again on these sessions. Even if you can't afford to give a pay rise, there are other things that you can do. So think about it. First of all, assess whether or not your working environment is a toxic one. And if you find that there's any levels of a yes in that, contemplate, work on how you are going to make that change. The bottom line is to create and maintain a positive, non-toxic workplace for your employees to want to come to. And if you don't currently have this, as I've said, face the issue and change it. Get external help and support if that's what you need, but do something about it. The future of your business depends on the environment that you create. Your behavior, your attitude creates that environment. And those people you work with will, by your example, see how you expect them to behave. We can all change though. So look at this question from your working environment, talk to the people around you, even talk to some of your customers because they come in and they see and experience it. Is your working environment a toxic one? Because employees are seeing their work-life balance completely different and they are voting with their feet. I hope that you found that useful, thought-provoking, if nothing else, and it will begin to help you to think about what you're creating in terms of your working environment and also about how you are going to improve the experience that your customers have, but also the experience that your employees are having. And hold on to your best stuff. Sandra Pollock, I am signing out and I will join you again next month with another topic. Don't forget, we always love to hear your questions. What are you battling with out there? What are the things that are keeping you up at night in terms of running your business, working with your staff, or finding profitability? Let us know. Put it in the comments below this video, and I will certainly come back with some tips and ideas on that. So, signing out for now, and have a great rest of the month. Love and light to you. Take care. Bye bye for now.